Hi friends, I'm Scott Giles, a certified consulting hypnotist and a life coach, and every Saturday afternoon at 2:30 I make a short 5 or 10 minute video on some aspect of coaching or the hypnotic arts and sciences. Today I want to talk about getting rid of clutter and the dangers of leading a cluttered life. This is a familiar theme for me. I have talked about this before in different ways. Clutter is an energy thief. Every time you walk around and there's a pile of clutter, stuff that you've just left there, it reaches out and takes a little bit of your life's energy. Because you say, I got to deal with that eventually, and it's one more plate that you've got spinning in your mind. You got enough clutter, there's so much energy that would have to go out to deal with it, you don't. And what's more, that begins to make everything seem more negative because you don't have the energy to do the positive actions that are needed. Second, clutter is a focus thief. We often talk about multitasking and all that, but the reality is the best research is that human beings don't multitask. We really, to be efficient, we need to focus on one thing at a time. We seem to multitask because we're just jumping around one thing to one thing to one thing to one thing, but we're actually becoming less efficient every time we make one of those jumps. And if you've got lots of clutter around, you can't really focus on anything because you keep being distracted by the stuff you have around you that has to be maintained, or it has to be cleaned, or it's got to be shoveled out of the way. When I was a parish minister, I had a guy in the congregation who was a professional writer, and this guy was a master of clutter. I mean, his home and his office was an actual disaster area. And what he would do when it came time to do a project is he would take a bed sheet and throw it over his desk on top of all the clutter that was there, and then he put the new stuff out so he could focus on that. Then he put another sheet over it. Pretty soon, his desk was like this sandwich of sheets, and you couldn't find anything in that. His focus was non-existent because you have to be able to find stuff to be able to focus on it. And clutter is a time thief. This was made very clear to me when I was at the end of my first marriage more than 30 years ago. My late first wife had something of a hoarder tendency. And so she amassed stuff like silver, chafing dishes, platters, that sort of thing. The amount of maintenance that went into keeping all of that polished was enormous. She loved furniture with fine and delicate finishes that had to be constantly protected and constantly serviced, or it looked like garbage. The maintenance on my stuff was taking more of my life's energy than I wanted, way too much time. So I made a resolution at that point to completely declutter. I gave away all the silver to a church auction. I got rid of most of that furniture and created a home for myself with simple, low-maintenance surfaces, taking my time back into my life. So those three reasons are why you should get rid of clutter. It's an energy thief, it's a focus thief, it's a time thief. Now, part of why my feelings about decluttering are so important is I was at one point in my career a professional chef. And in a professional kitchen, you have a thing called the Munchen Platz. This is everything in its assigned place. And when you use something, you put it back so everyone else can find it who needs it. Often chefs will say the most important place in this restaurant is the Munchen Platz. And there's a slang term in culinary work that we use when someone has gotten way overcommitted and has lost control. We say he or she is in the weeds. Now, we don't mean that as a golfing term, that you've got off the fairway. It's an older term. It means you've gotten off the chosen path and you're wandering in the brambles in the forest somewhere. It means you're not using the system. You've gotten off the routine ways of doing things, and you don't know what you're doing now. You don't know what's going to happen next. And if you've got a lot of clutter in your world, you don't know what you're going to do next. You don't even know how to find what you're going to do next. Now, there are many ways to deal with clutter. Some are kind of humorous. There's a decluttering guru, Marie Kondo, who I like. I've read her books, and she gets a little OCD about it, though. I mean, she says you shouldn't have anything unless holding it in your hand sparks joy. So she doesn't have a hammer in her home because that didn't spark joy. She drives nails with a frying pan. She doesn't have a drain board. She puts her dishes in the backyard to let the air dry. That's going too far. But there are simpler ways you can do. Like I've talked about how I organize my office environment using the Getting Things Done system of David Allen. I organize the home. I do all the housework here using a system from the Fly Lady, flylady.net if you're interested, which means the home is divided into zones and you simply stay on top of everything so nothing ever gets out of control. You never get your household in the weeds. Now, it doesn't take a lot to live kind of a decluttered life. It doesn't mean you got to deprive yourself of stuff you really want. It means that you have purpose and simplicity and a few simple rules. If you were to walk into my home, you would discover there is nothing on any horizontal surface that isn't there for a specific reason. Everything else has an assigned place, and that's where it goes. That's where you'll find it. If it's on a horizontal surface, it's got a reason, like the DVD player is on a horizontal surface because that's the only place to have it, to use it. But you're not going to find piles of books and other things and pocket contents. Nothing goes on any horizontal surface unless there's a reason. That's one of the rules of the Bates-Giles household. The other is, when you use something, you don't put it down, you put it back. And this refers to a knife in my kitchen. It refers to one of the dolls that my wife has in her enormous doll collection. You don't put it down. You put it back into its assigned place, the Munchen Platz. And finally, when in doubt, throw it out. If you don't throw it out, you're soon going to be completely overwhelmed with stuff that you're saving just in case. And you're going to have so much stuff that you're saving just in case. You're not going to be able to find what you want. You're going to forget what you have and don't have. So when in doubt, throw it out. It's going to be easier to buy it again if you, in the unlikely event you need it. And having the clear space, the decluttered space, is going to more than compensate you for the extra energy it brings into your life. So, nothing on any horizontal surface except for a reason. When you use something, you don't put it down, you put it back. And when in doubt, throw it out. That's how the Bates-Giles household stays out of the weeds. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll be back same time next week talking about a different topic. I'm going to be talking about segmentation, how you can divide your time up into segments to keep a positive focus in each one of those segments. Please join me if you have an interest. And please go to my website, check out what I have there. I have lots of stuff, it's all free. And sign up for my newsletter, Power Lines. You'll be glad you did. Take care, and God bless.